The other day, I was sharing top secret meta-busting interaction in my patron Discord when someone asked me if they should be playing more specific interaction like Tail's End, Stifle, or even Surgical Extraction. And before I answered their question, I asked if they were playing Ledger Shredder. What does Ledger Shredder have to do with playing Surgical Extraction? Well, everything really. In our usual fashion, I'm gonna give some context on why answers in Magic decks tend to be narrow in some places and wide in others, or when we should be playing silver bullets. In terms of specificity, we can plot interaction or answers on a graph between flexible and narrow. An example on the far end of flexible would be a card like Discontinuity or Time Stop, cards that will take any spell, ability, or even the stack away from the opponent by ending their turn. On the other end, we have interaction as narrow as Nyx, a counterspell that only answers spells if no mana was spent to cast them. More common flexible answers like Counterspell, Force of Will, or Naturalize fit generally here on these points on the chart. In a perfect world, our decks would be constructed to be able to answer everything all the time. But as you might notice, flexible interaction generally costs more to cast than narrow interaction, which makes silver bullets much more mana efficient answers to your opponent's spells, and generally the preferred choice after premium interaction like Force of Will or Fierce Guardianship. If silver bullets are the best tools to punch a hole into our opponent's game plan, how do you decide what your interaction suite should look like? What's the difference between a Spell Pierce and a Miscast? Some silver bullets don't end up being as narrow as they seem, thanks to how metas are formed. Cards like Red Elemental Blast and cEDH end up overperforming when so much of the game relies on counterspell wars or being able to destroy premium cards like Rhystic Study for a single red. And back to our example of Pierce versus Miscast, if we want more answers to a turn 1 Remora, then Spell Pierce is more playable than Miscast as it stresses our opponent's mana during stack battles the same way Miscast does, but Spell Pierce can also hit enchantments or even artifacts. Knowing how silver bullets are dictated by the meta, then why don't we see cards like Surgical Extraction or even Extirpate to beat format monsters like Underworld Breach and Lion's Eye Diamond? The problem, of course, is the singleton nature of cEDH and your ability to have the right answer at the right time. Especially when pods are composed of so many varying strategies, having the right bullet to fire at the right target isn't so easy. Which is why most decks would rather play a cumbersome counterspell than an efficient answer like Stifle. And here is when Ledger Shredder enters the conversation. Lately, I've been playing a lot of Pioneer, especially Rakdos Midrange, Zoomer Drakes, and Esper Legends. They all have one thing in common, but I'll reveal that secret in a moment. As I worked through these decks of Jarvis Yu in our past coaching sessions, he taught me an interesting principle behind playing one of answers in our main deck or sideboard. It has to do with the ability of our decks to naturally churn through our library, or simply, the ability of our deck to have good card selection. Rakdos Mid has Fable and Blood tokens to rip through our deck and find the Extinction event for mono green. Zoomer Drakes has 4 Ops, 4 Considers, 4 Ledger Shredders, and 4 Fables to find the one of Alpine Moon for mono green. Esper Legends has Rafine and Rona to tear through the deck to land a Farewell that also happens to mess with mono green, but they're from different formats. Having a high velocity in card selection is great, because you're able to convert dead cards into live answers. When your Spell Pierce isn't relevant anymore because your opponent has built up too many lands, just loot it away for a threat. Ledger Shredder is not the all-star in cEDH the same way it's powerful in Modern Breach. But the idea that each turn cycle you could potentially see 3 to 12 cards to craft your hand for the right answer or tool to push through shouldn't be taken lightly. And going back to my earlier Nimrus video, that is another reason why a commander like Nimrus can easily control a pod on its own, as the commander has built-in card selection through the Consider effect that is added to every first spell cast on each opponent's turns. Magic battles are settled through a contest of mana. The duelist of more resources should be the one who wins the fight, but having the right efficient silver bullets can easily exhaust an opponent who is overspending with catch-alls to let you land the winning shot. And when it comes to designing our deck's interaction suite, you should consider the following things the next time you want to curate your answers in your deck. You want to understand how many cards your deck can see on average. If your deck does not draw or filter through a good amount of cards in the game, then consider upping the quantity of the silver bullet to make sure you have a higher likelihood of drawing or starting with that effect, or simply play more flexible answers even if it's a little less mana efficient. You want to know how common the effect you want to disrupt is. If you don't expect to reasonably see this threat from your opponents often, then this card is too narrow and shouldn't be considered if your deck has no card selection. You also want to understand how threatening this effect is relative to how your deck operates. If the strategy or card you want to answer with your silver bullet completely breaks your deck, then you absolutely need answers for it, such as Opposition Agent for Sisay Weatherlight Captain or Rule of Law for Storm decks. With metas constantly shifting with new cards and adaptations, there's never a perfect suite of interaction that will consistently carry you through every game. Learning how to curate your deck's interaction relative to how your deck functions will keep your deck competitive. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen last week's Nimrus video yet, you should definitely watch it to get my masterclass in Tempo and how Nimrus uses the principles of Tempo to become the ultimate control deck. Or, if you rather bring a sledgehammer to answer your problems, you should definitely check out how Atali is smashing through puny blue decks because apparently they don't know how to block. See y'all next time. Bye!